Hey everybody, this is Eric Clark's Travel Videos once again, and I'm here on the Princess Cruise Line, and the Island Princess to be exact, and you can see it behind me and it's amazing and beautiful, but I wanted to talk to you today about COVID and how Princess handles COVID. And this is going to be a little different video. I'm going to do an introduction and an education type thing so that you really understand exactly what takes place and what they do for you and what they do for the other guests that get COVID. And I'm also going to talk about my qualifications with why am I uniquely qualified to do this video. And then we'll go look at some of the rooms, and you can see what the trays look like and maybe what the little tables look like outside of the rooms. And I can't really show you inside the room because there's infected people in there and they deserve their privacy and not to have people barging into their rooms and looking around. Anyway, so let's get started, shall we? Let's do it. Okay, everybody, one of the things that happened is I created a video that wasn't 100% accurate. It had some misleading information, and so Princess reached out to me and asked if I'd like to get some accurate information and maybe create a new video. And so that's what I'm doing now. And so this information is coming directly from Princess in lots of ways. I talked to Maria Goncalves and Enrique Santos. Enrique Santos is the assistant general manager. Maria is the guest services director. But we had a good half-hour, 45-minute meeting. We talked about what the cruise line does to protect not only the guests that get COVID, but also the guests that don't get COVID and what steps they take for each one. And so we'll talk about each one of those here in a second too. Okay. All right, everybody. So if you're watching this channel, you probably know me. I'm Eric Clark, and I've traveled the world. I've been traveling for about 15 years. I have over almost 3,000 subscribers, and I have almost 2,000 videos. I've been in I think over 90 countries now, and I've been doing this for 15 years. But what makes me more uniquely qualified than all my travel experience is that so far this year in 2022, I've done 9 different cruises. Yeah, 9 different cruises, 4 different cruise ships. I've been on the Island Princess, the Emerald Princess, the Caribbean Princess, and the Regal Princess. For a total of 92 days. So think that it's more than 3 months of traveling on all these ships. And I've seen everything change from, mask wearing, not wearing masks, to staff wearing masks, to not wearing masks, to all the steps that they take to make sure that people are taken care of. I mean, I remember when I first took the cruise, you had to do a test before you got on the ship. You had to show the test. You couldn't just say, yeah, I took a test. You had to actually show the results. You also had to be vaccinated. They wouldn't take you if you weren't vaccinated. So I think the biggest thing to note about this video that I'm doing for you today is that things change. This is in fluid. It always changes. I mean, just the other day, Biden had announced that, we're past COVID. Well, I think COVID's here for a while longer, and I think it's going to be something we end up living with, but that's neither here nor there. What's important is that the cruise line takes steps to make sure that you're protected and the guests that are sick are protected. And it's amazing what they do. So let's talk about what they do. Okay, so let's talk about the actions that Princess takes to take care of both sides of the coin, the infected and the non-infected. And I'm going to read some of these things, so if you see my eyes look over there, I have a sheet that helps me, because there's quite a bit that takes place. So one of the things is that they ask you to quarantine. Obviously, that's a given. You're asked to quarantine for 5 days. On the 6th day, you'll get a test. If you're negative, you can leave the stateroom. If you're positive, you stay again until the next day and they test again. And they'll keep doing this until you are negative and can leave the room or the end of the cruise. And we hope that you're just not positive the whole time. And I think they'll take steps that if you continue to get positive results, I think after so many days, and I don't know exactly. I think it really depends on the ports you're visiting, what country you're hitting, those types of things that make that determination, whether it's 7, 10 days, whatever that looks like. So they ask you to isolate, and so you go to your room, and they give you a choice. So let's say you're in an inside cabin. Who wants to spend, 5 days in an inside cabin? So what they do is they give you the choice to either stay in your cabin or move to a cabin with a balcony. And most people that are sick take the balcony. At least you get to look out the window, you get to see different things, you get to see the ships pass by, the water pass by, you get to view some of the ports. Even if you're sick, at least you get that to look at. If you're already in a cabin that has a balcony, then you get a choice there too. You can either stay or go. If it's just a window, you can go to a balcony. But again, they really give you the choice, which I think is absolutely amazing. So let's talk about it if you're a couple. Let's say the husband and wife are together and the husband gets COVID. You can either do it one of two ways. Let's say you're in an inside cabin. You can both move to a balcony cabin. One can stay in the inside cabin. The other one, the infected one, can go to the balcony cabin. Or you can both, I think he said, could both go to a balcony cabin. They really work to make sure that you are as happy as possible. They recognize fully that you're being impacted, that your vacation time is being impacted, that your holiday has been, cut short and sacrificed. And so they really want to take care of that for you. So it's really nice that they'll do that for you. And again, they really want to make sure that both people are taken care of. I think they also said that they recognize that when a couple is sick, or one person in the couple is sick, that the chances of the other person getting it is slimmer. And so they don't have any problem with the couple staying together. They don't, obviously, if you're a couple, they don't want you to have to be alone the whole time. I mean, that'd be pretty tough. If you leave the cabin, because the cabin's not locked, so you could really leave, they will track you down and they will ask you to return to your cabin. And they do this for a couple reasons. Obviously, for your safety. They don't want you sick and falling down or getting hurt, but also for the rest of the people on this cruise ship. They do not want to spread COVID around like wildfire and have it run through the whole ship. They want to do everything they can to isolate it and take care of both sides of the passengers, the sick and the non-sick. So it's really important that they take these steps. So they really don't want you to leave, and I think they pretty much sign something with you that says that you're not going to leave the room. But I think people still leave the room, and I think they'll track you down. So let's talk about the benefits. The benefits are when you're in quarantine, when they've asked you to stay in your room because you've tested positive for COVID, you have results in sickness from COVID, they give you free Wi-Fi. Isn't that amazing? And again, their goal is to make sure you're as happy as possible. They recognize that you're sick. They recognize you're not going to get off the ship and see the ports you want to see. And so it's tough. So they want to keep you happy. So they give you the free Wi-Fi. And I think they'll even give it up to multiple devices. So if you have a phone and a laptop, a phone and a tablet, I think they'll set it up so that you can have both and be happy that way. They also give you puzzles. So if you want a deck of cards, they'll take care of that. If you want to play Sudoku, they'll take care of that. If you want a board game, it's you and your husband, or your husband and wife, whatever that looks like, they'll give you that. They really do work hard to make you happy and help you pass that time. Those 5 days could be long, and people go stir crazy, and so they really take care of that. For food, you obviously get room service. So they get the room service off the TV, which is pretty standard, and they show you what's in there. But they'll go a step farther. They give you the dining room food as well. So if they have lobster night, you're not missing out. You can have a lobster tail. If you want the shrimp scampi, you can have that too. If you want the pasta night, the Italian night, whatever that looks like, you can request those meals from the dining room menu, and they'll bring it right to your room, whereas nobody else gets that privilege, just the people that are quarantining. And again, the effort is to make you happy and to take care of you. With that comes a little bit of a different thing. They'll give you free drinks. You want a mimosa? They'll give you a mimosa. You need a club soda with some gin or something? They'll take care of that. Whatever it is, a margarita, they'll give you those things for free as well. So that's pretty amazing. It even goes further than that. They'll also, let's see, what else do they do here? Quarantine runs, okay, the end of the voyage. So if you're, let's say that this ship that you're on, you get COVID on the second to the last day of your trip, right? And so your 5 days is going to run into when you're supposed to get off. They will let you off. They will, if you choose to. Obviously, it's your choice. You're not responsible. You don't have to do what they want you to do. You could fly home if you wanted to and infect everybody on the plane, but you could be responsible, and they're willing to take care of you that way. And what they'll do is they'll get you a hotel room, and then they'll give you $100 a day. What did he call it? Just to make sure, an allowance. You get $100 a day in food. So they pay for the hotel, and so it could be another 3 days until you test negative, and then they'll give you $100 in allowance for food. That's going above and beyond, I think. I think that's pretty extraordinary. Also, there's another thing. For the days that you're in quarantine, they give you room reimbursement, and it's room credit for your next cruise. And so let's say that you're in quarantine for 7 days, they'll give you 7 days worth of room credit for a future cruise. And what's that based on? So let's say that I paid $1,000 for the cruise, and Bob, he paid $2,000 for the room. So in the room, or the cruise is 10 days, they would divide the 10 by how much you paid and come up with a room average, and that's what they're going to give you as credit for. So that's pretty amazing. Again, I find it amazing what they're willing to do to take care of their people from both sides of it. Amazing. Okay, let's go take a look at some of these rooms. The rooms are interesting because almost all of them have a little table, like a little end table in front of the door, so that you don't have to bend all the way over to the ground. They're not putting your food on the ground, they're putting it on these little end tables so that you can easily get it in your sick state, so that you can just pick up that tray and bring it into the room. They knock on the door, they let you know it's there, and then you just grab your food and you're set. And when you're done, you just put it back out on that tray. And again, I think that's pretty amazing. A couple of things happen, 2 things actually. One is that not only rooms that have end tables in front of them have people in them, so they're not infected rooms. Does that make sense? They're just ready for people if they get infected. But also you can kind of tell that they're ready for more people. The second thing is that you also know where the sick people are, you know what I mean? And so you know not to disturb them or make a whole bunch of noise in the hallway, or, you know, they're sick. Let's take care of them too. Anyway, let's go take a look at some of these rooms. Bye. Okay, everybody, this is deck 8. And deck 8, they've pretty much set up for, or at least the end of it, like the end of the row. So it's not in the middle of the ship, it's towards the very end, so less people travel through there. But they kind of set this up as a COVID, I want to say wing, or an isolation area. But it makes it easier. I mean, it keeps all the COVID in one little spot on the ship versus all over the ship. And don't get me wrong, there are times when somebody's on the 12th floor and they've decided not to change rooms. Maybe they have a suite. Maybe they don't want to go to a balcony. They'll just stay in theirs, and you'll see one of these little end tables. And here's what the end tables look like. So the end table is here, and it's by the door, and so that they can just set the food down here, or if they want apples or ice cream or whatever they want, some games, whatever, the person just has to open the door and grab the food or whatever they're grabbing, shut the door. So it really makes it as convenient as possible. They don't want to put it on the floor. Obviously, that would be unhealthy and not nice, but it certainly is wonderful. But you can see that there's these little end tables pretty much in front of all these doors. And then some of them, and like down here you'll see, and it looks like somebody's graduated and has moved out and they're cleaning it. And there's one that has a bunch of food on it and stuff like that, so that, so you know that somebody's in there, they just had their breakfast and their coffee and they're trying to get through the sickness and everything else. And this one they're obviously, cleaning and taking care of. And I think they do a really deep dive type of clean. So they really, really, really scrub the room top to bottom. And then they, I think, spray it, and then they let it sit for a couple of days, I think, even, so that it just ensures that the COVID is gone, that there's nothing in there that's going to infect people or cause problems in the future. Anyway, that's what the COVID wing or hall or corridor or whatever we want to call it looks like. And it's nice. It's nice that it's not on every floor. Again, don't get me wrong, you might see an end table in front of a door on a suite or a balcony and they didn't want to move, or because it's really their choice. You know what I mean? Does that make sense? Okay, cool, everybody. Well, that's the end of the video. I hope I've captured everything to explain this all in depth for you. And kudos to Princess. You guys rock for taking care of the customers on both sides. I think it's admirable. I give you lots of praise for your work and your efforts. That's it, everybody. Thanks for watching Eric Clark's travel videos. Bye, everybody.